How are you guys doing? Good? Yeah? Thanks for giving up your 1 o'clock hour to be here. I've been in college before. I know that it is not easy to give up time during the day. But there's green food, so hey. And you guys look super cute. I honestly forgot what day of the month it was. I feel terrible. But someone told me I have a green phone, so I'm just gonna put it in front of me and it'll be great. But thanks for being here. I was at the high schools this morning. So I met with them at the all-boys high school and then the all-girls high school, and they were adorable. So they're so cute, you know? And it's neat too because in America, when I have them interact with the talk, they don't have fun accents. So everyone in America is super jealous of me because I'm hanging out with you all because you're awesome and because you have an accent. So very jealous. I had the cute high school boys send a message to the American women about their dignity and worth in God's eyes with an Australian accent, and it is going to be a very big hit. And then I had the girls send a message to the American men about how much they love them and hope that they can be the men of God that they've created them to be, and I'm sure it's going to be a very big hit. So it was a really great morning. I got here yesterday at 6 a.m., so the jet lag is every once in a while hits me. But I'm running on amazing food. You guys have great food. We had Lebanese food last night. It was really, really good. I couldn't tell you what I ate, but it was awesome. So thanks for being here. I brought this talk with me, How to Thrive, Not Just Survive, in college. It's like a combination of a couple of my talks, and I only have 45 minutes with you, which you'll get to know very fast that I wish I had 5 hours with you, but I'm going to try to cram in all the fun things that if I was in college right now, what I would want to hear, or what I need to hear. And I always tell people when I hear someone give a talk, I'm always like, tell me about you, who are you, where are you from, I want to know about them before they speak. And so I always bring a couple pictures that sums up very quickly who I am and what I do all the time. So this is my husband and I. My husband, our last name is Swafford. So his name's Andy, but everyone's just called him Swaff since he was 5 years old. So he's actually a professor. He's a doctorate. He has his doctorate in theology, and he teaches we live right next to a Catholic college in America. So he teaches theology. He's I always call him a very good-looking dork. So he knows Hebrew and Greek, so he reads the Bible in the original languages and teaches all the scripture classes and the morality classes on campus. So he's a very good-looking dork. So, and I say that with love. It's funny, I always put this picture up and all the girls are like, oh, Sarah, he's cute. It's I'm aware. He's a very good-looking man, yes. So, but we've been married 11 years this summer. So as cute as he is, he's awesome. People call him Doc Swaff or Swaff Daddy or P. Diddy Swaff, and people call me Mama Swaff or Swaff Mama, which I actually prefer. It's really fun. So yeah, but that's Andy, that's Swaff, and then these are our kids. So we have 4. They're really cute, I know. And this is Thomas. He is 10. He just turned 10 last week. Turning 30 was 30, this will be fun. 30s are fun. But having a 10-year-old, I felt super old that whole day. I was I'm so old. So anyway, I have a 10-year-old. I look 12, but I have a 10-year-old. It's kind of weird math. But and then this is Fulton. I don't know if you guys know Archbishop Fulton Sheen. If you don't know him, get to know him. Fulton's ornery. Can you tell? Yeah. He's just the sweetest, orneriest little kid ever. But he's a great kid. And then this is Kate. Kate's 4. Kate runs the show. Kate talks more than all of us combined, and I think that's just how it is. Women just talk more. It's awesome. Any of you guys have little sisters? Yeah, so you know what that's like. So Kate's in charge, and then this is Colby. Colby Joseph is our new one. He's almost 1. This is taken back in the fall. So this is my family. So I always bring this super cute picture. It takes at least 1,000 pictures to get one. And Colby's head was swapped out because he was looking in the opposite direction. So I always love to bring this picture because everyone's like, oh, we're a perfect little family, and it's yeah, Facebook and Twitter and Instagram is all 100% what we look like all the time, right? It's completely truth, right? So that was a joke. It's so easy for us to get on social media and be like, oh, that's exactly their life all the time. It's I don't take pictures of my dirty house or pictures of me getting out of bed and selfies getting out of bed. No one posts those pictures, right? That's more real life. So I bring this picture just to kind of tell you, one is, I'm actually just a stay-at-home mom. So a few years back, I was a dorm director, a dorm mom. I don't know if you guys have dorms here? Do y'all do are you mostly commuters, or do you have anybody that lives on campus, or no? Not really, okay, ish. So in America, it's very common to have dorms. So you have, in my case, I took care of 142 18 and 19-year-old women. So I had 142 freshmen, and Swaff and we had been married a couple years, and Thomas and Fulton were both under 2, and we lived in the dorm for 3 years, and I took care of all of the women. So that front row seat, I got a front row seat on what it was like to move from high school to college, you know, for the women. And everyone goes, oh, so you got to know the women really well. It's like, where there are 142 women, there are at least 142 men, right? Like, looking for them. So I got to know the men just as well as the women. And, you know, guys would come to Swaff and be like, help me. And, you know, and women would come to me and be like, help me, you know, and couples would come. And I always say that my couch became the therapy couch, and I would just, like, lay people down and spoon feed them cookie dough and be like, it's going to be okay. Like, it's going to be okay, you know? Like, college is rough. It is hard. I really struggled transitioning from high school to college. And so I had this front row seat to what it was like. And it was funny. I'll never forget it. I walked into my RA office, which is like my assistants, and all the college girls were sitting around the computer. And they're like, Sarah, get over here. You got to see this. And so I like walked in. I was like, what is it? And they were like, it's called Facebook. And I was like, ooh, that's exciting. So they like set me up a profile and stuff. And the girls taught me how to text. And so I say that because it makes me feel and look really old, but I went through junior high, high school, college, and got married before I even knew what social media or texting were. Again, I'm 32, not 82. So I know all of you were instantly questioning, how old is she really, right? It's like, she looks good for 50, right? Okay. All the junior high kids are always like, oh my gosh, like, she's 80, you know? So we like escaped. I always say Swaff and I like escaped by the skin of our teeth, you know? Like, so this was all very new. So I'm sitting in the dorms, you know, like bouncing babies, like doing dishes, changing diapers, going, what is happening to the dating scene? So have phones changed the dating scene? Do you think texting and social media has changed the way people date and interact? Maybe even the way people communicate with one another, period, right? Like, of course. So I remember what it was like before, but then I also lived in the dorms as it was coming out, and now like through doing ministry over those last couple years, I just have been trying to figure out like what are we gonna do with this, right? And it's new at the time it was definitely new for everyone else too, because it was like, what do we do? So it's funny, during this talk, there's gonna be times, when I first started talking about just relationships and stuff, I was doing mostly work with women, because it's stereotypical that men don't care about relationships, you know, like, of course, right? So the women would come to me and we would like talk about it and stuff. And then I started noticing at the end of every women's talk, a girl would raise her hand and say, are you gonna give this talk to the men? Like, that was very important. And then I'd give a talk to the men, and the men would always raise their hand and be like, did you tell the women all of this, you know? So I noticed that what was really cool is to have the men and women together. So the fact that there's men and women here is really exciting, because there's gonna be times during the talk where I might be like looking at the women and like, women, and all the men lean forward. And they're like, the secrets to women, feed me, you know, like I'll take any help I can get. And then there also might be times where I like look at the men and I'm like, guys, and it's cute because all the women like bust out glitter pens and start taking notes, like, help, you know. So what I've learned is sometimes the opposite sex, we can miss each other, right? Do we sometimes, whoop. The stereotype is for the women, I always love it. Men, are the women a little bit like, maybe a little bit like emotional, or a little bit complicating, a little bit hard to understand, maybe a little confusing at times? If you say no, I pass out your phone number, so like the answer is yes, right? Like, women can be a little bit emotional, a little bit hard to understand. And for the men, women, I always ask, do men care? It's really cute. Aussies are so sweet. You're like, oh, there's guys here. I don't want to say no, right? It's cute, like in the high schools and like, especially in America, I'm always like, do men care? And girls always go, no. No guys care. I'm gonna die alone with 100 cats, right? Like, they don't care about anything, they don't care about themselves, you know? It's like, oh. But I know guys do care. But the stereotype on the street is guys don't care, and women are like so overly emotional and so wrapped up in, you know, their thoughts and romance, and they're so complicated and we don't understand them. Men just throw up their hands, they're like, I don't even know what to do with this, you know? And so what I've been trying to do is like, have the conversation, like hold the hand of the men and hold the hand of the women and try to have like the conversation that is hard to have, and it's very hard to have over text, right? Or it's very hard to have over social media, and with all of that involved. So to start the talk out, I know this might be kind of hard, but I like to talk about what is called the world's idea of perfect. And you guys know exactly what I'm talking about, but we don't talk about it very often. For like the women, you know, world's idea of perfect, you have to be like a size -2, right? And big doe eyes and like perfect hair and perfect wardrobe and, you know, big lips, big hips, like perfect skin. And if you can't figure all that out, you can get on Pinterest and look at like 1 million videos to help you figure out, right? I don't know what I would do without Pinterest. I couldn't cook, you know, so. But then you have like the, you know, perfect profile picture. You have to have the perfect cover photo, your like group of friends, your trophy boyfriend, and all the girls want to be you, all the guys want to be with you, and everyone knows it. Like, it's the world's idea of perfect, but we don't talk about it. And then for the men, I always get this image of like the world's idea of perfect for the men is like a rapper in a white tux with a gold grill and shades, and he's always standing on a car, and he's like stacks of cash falling and women crawling up his legs, and he's just standing there like this. You know, it's like Pitbull. It's, you know, I don't know. It's like, you know, it's like you have to be Channing, you know, Channing Tatum. I say his name back and forth. I don't really, yeah, that's chiseled and charming, right? Like, you have to be romantic, and you have to be successful, and you have to be, you know, athletic or artistic or musical. Like, pick your flavor. You know, girls have, you know, Tay, Bay, or Kim, and the men have to, like, you know, have their little flavor of success. But you can't fail, right? And men have to have their perfect profile too, and, you know, perfect cover and group of friends and trophy girlfriend, and like, you all know what I'm talking about. It's like the world's idea of perfect, and everyone plays the game, but no one talks about it. Life's about taking the perfect picture in the perfect place at the perfect time with the great group of people, so you can edit it, filter it, post it. Like, that's what life's about. Check with any junior high or high schooler. Like, that's where it's at for sure. And then even in college and after college. And what's sad is it doesn't stop there, right? I mean, I'm telling you, as a stay-at-home mom at 32, there have been many times where I have felt the attack of the world's idea of perfect on my motherhood, on my home, on my relationships. I mean, I don't know about you. I don't know how you guys are doing it right now. Like, being vocation-seeking and single right now is so hard, right? And I always say, like, when you scroll on your phone and you're going through pictures and you're scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, it's like you see people, you see celebrities, and it's like, I mean, they have $50 million in photoshopping, and we're just really happy for them, but like, I'm not gonna try to compete with that. But then when you're scrolling and it's not celebrities, but it's like your best friends, people that you see here every day, people you know, it's so easy to put your phone on your nightstand and just feel completely worthless. I've walked away from my phone feeling worthless before. And it's easy to compete with people and not only tear yourself down, but you can also tear others down in your mind, you know, or on social media. Like, it just happens. And a lot of it is because we don't know what's attacking us. So you have the world's idea of perfect moving. You have the fact that men and women are different, yet men and women share humanity, so we have a lot in common. And we miss each other sometimes, because there's all these stereotypes and all these just like, no one really, like, we miss each other. And so during this talk, like I said, I'm going to hold the hand of the women, I'm going to hold the hand of the men, and I'm going to try to have this conversation that I might be talking to you, I might not be talking to you, but you might learn something. So for the men, I'm going to help you out just a little bit, you know, secrets of women. So I'm going to walk you through a little story that illustrates how the inner workings of the woman's mind and heart, how that works. Are you ready for this? All the girls are like, you're gonna do what? In 45 minutes, right? So tell me, ladies, if you can relate to this. You know, it's like Friday night, you have all your best girlfriends over, and you got your sweats on, like hoodie footies, right? And you have your box of Little Debbies. I mean, both boxes of your Little Debbies, right? No sharing. And you take 3 hours to pick which 3 movies you're gonna watch, but you finally figured it out. It's like 10 o'clock, you're like, whatever. You put on the first one, you're like, yes. Then you put on the second one, and you're like, well, my life is officially worthless. And then you put on the third one, and the credits roll, and you like throw down your blanket, and you pick up your remote, and you chuck it against the wall, and you're like, when's it gonna be my turn? I am so sick and tired of waiting for Mr. Right, Mr. Perfect to walk into my life. I need a cute guy and a horse and a sunset right now, right? And what do you ladies do? You like vent till the early morning, and then you go to sleep like bitter and frustrated and out of oatmeal cream pies, and then you wake up the next morning, and you kind of go through your day, and you like scroll your phone, and you're so tired of seeing engagements and babies, you're just like done with it, you know, and Monday comes around, and you're walking around here, and this guy that you're like halfway attracted to says, hey, and you're like, hey, I want you, right? All this just builds in your mind. So ladies, what do? Well, naturally, naturally you start mentally stalking him, right? You start mentally stalking him. Everyone, it's cute, all the guys are like, what's that? I'm already kind of freaked out. Like, I don't know if I have a definition for that, but. And then for the ladies, what do, right? You start mentally stalking him, like how he's gonna ask you out, where you're gonna go, and how he's gonna propose, and you have it all Pinterest out on the board somewhere, right? So, and then you do what I lovingly call the Christmas card test, right? Where you like take your name and his last name, make sure it sounds good, and all the baby names you've ever loved, and if they sound good, and then you start social media stalking, right? So you get on and you look at 1,245 pictures of him and his Uncle Bill on their fishing trip, and you loved all 4 hours of it. You know, and then you move and you're like, see a picture of his dog, and you say, oh, that's the cutest golden retriever I've ever seen. And you see a picture of him with his arm around a girl, and you're like, oh, that better be his sister. And you just keep moving through and moving through the pictures, and you just have this whole view of who he is, right? And then you start flirting, and then you start texting. It's so funny. It's like, it's easy to like giggle, and all of a sudden I put up texting, and it's like, dun, 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 texting, right? What do you guys think? Texting, good for relationships, bad for relationships? What do you think? Show me. Show me what you think. I asked the junior high kids, or the high school kids this morning. It's cute. It's like, we'll give it a chance, right? Usually it's cute when I do junior high kids, like grades like 6th, 7th, 8th in there. I'm always like, how's texting? Good for relationships, bad relationships? And they're always like, I've had my phone a week. It's amazing, you know? Like, they're like, yay. But then when you ask high schoolers, they're always like, I don't know. And then usually I ask university students, and they're like, death to texting, right? Like, have you ever been misinterpreted in a text? Have you ever been hurt by a text? Have you ever wished that Apple could figure out how to put a cancel button on the texting page? It's like, your Apple, figure it out, right? Like, no, come back, right? So texting, we'll just leave it with like, it's charged, right? It's just like a charged word. And then you start calling, like when I was in high school, you know, like handheld home phone on speaker, on the pillow, talking to your boyfriend like he's there. Okay, moving on, good. Okay, and then physically stalking. It's like, oh, that escalated quickly, right? So mental stalking, social media stalking, flirting, texting, calling, physically stalking. I call this lovingly the Emotive Coaster. And the reason why I call it the Emotive Coaster is it's kind of like a roller coaster. You guys have probably all had that experience, right? Where you wait in line for like 4 hours, you're like, this is gonna be epic. And you get on the ride and it just throws you around, your stomach comes up, your eyes are watering with, you know, from the wind. And then you just come to this grinding halt and you take one step off the roller coaster and you throw up in front of everyone. And you're like, wow, I just spent $49.99 to sit under a tree and with a trash can, you know, enjoying my life, right? Okay, you can see how like these steps in the moving of a roller coaster, it can be a little bit much. Have you guys ever, don't raise your hand, but have you ever been through a relationship like this? It can move over 5 days, over 5 weeks, 5 months, please no 5 years, but like, you know what I mean? Like this can move, right? How many of you ever seen a friend move through this, like go through this? Like, yeah. I mean, you all are at uni, so you, like, yeah, right? You've seen this? How many of you have ever seen someone move through this with multiple people at the same time? Welcome to America, right? Like, in America, we call it standby. People have people on standby. So they'll have like 6 or 7 people that they're like texting. I call it in my book the gray area, just talking, texting, hanging out. You know, like, you know, they have like 6 or 7 people just, they're moving through these different things at different times with them. And they call it standby because if it doesn't work out with someone, well, they'll just keep moving with someone else. And then what happens when that guy or girl forgets to text, like person number 5, right? Person number 5 comes to me and is like, what happened? What did I do? 6 months of texting back and forth. I thought there was something going on, and then he dropped me. And then she dropped me. Have you ever been on the other side of that counseling for a friend, right? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm there. I find myself there often, right? And like, again, look right here. I'm not a hater. Like Sarah Swafford 18, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Pinterest. I love it all. There's a place for social media. It's not going away, right? And there's a place for it. I love texting. Like, you know, I'm outside, hurry up, right? Like texting's great. There's a place for it too. These are all things that are going to happen during a romance, during a relationship. Like this stuff is going to happen. But are there some potential traps to the Emotive Coaster? Probably, right? There's things that we can fall into, right? So I'm a visual learner. Anybody else in the house? So I brought you a whole potential trap slide. It's very exciting. Okay, so mental stalking. It's a one-way relationship. You're building the unknown. Expectations can be too high, and it can be creepy. Yes? Social media stalking. You're getting into someone's personal life and making assumptions. Wouldn't you rather let that person tell you about himself or herself? Flirting. You may be seeking attention, feeling an insecurity, or sending mixed messages. It can come across as fake. Don't you want them to get to know the real you? Texting. It can be intimate, misinterpreted. You can rationalize things as no big deal, and it can be addictive. True or false? True slide, right? Calling. You may stay up late, reveal a lot about yourself, and calling and texting can both be very private. And then physically stalking. You have to be around them. You don't have any fun without them. You do things just because they do. You may change who you are to please them and start going to things just because they're there. It's easy to wrap yourself up in something for the wrong reasons. That last one's hard for me because that was like so me in high school. That was just like where I was at. I always had a boyfriend. I always had to have a boyfriend. You know, I was like, I'm the oldest and I'm the only girl. So like perfectionistic people pleasers, control freaks in the house. You know, hey, you know, like, I mean, it's just one of those things where it was like, you know, valedictorian, you know, do well in school, play basketball, play volleyball, run cross country, be a cheerleader, be in the band, be a class president. Like, you know, you have like all these things. You're just constantly working on image, whether it was body image, self-image, popularity, date of the football player, date of the basketball player, date of the track guy just for fun. You know, it's like you always have this like image that you have to work towards, and the whole physical stalking, like I just was whoever my boyfriend needed me to be or whatever works best for my image. And the reason why I worry about the potential traps list is I watch men and women, the World's Idea Perfect and the Emotive Coaster just feed all of this. Sometimes without us even knowing it, and it spins us all onto the cycle of use. So I call it the cycle of use because I don't even have to explain this to you. You all know exactly what I'm talking about, and you've all felt the effects of the cycle of use, but we don't even use the word use. It's not a word that we use in our vocabulary very much, to use. There's not a single soul in this room that wants to use someone else. Like, we don't say, like, oh my gosh, I used that guy emotionally, it was amazing, right? Like, no one says that, right? Like, no guys say, like, yeah, I used her physically. Like, no one uses the word use, right? But tell me, ladies, I have two sentences, and for the fellas too, I have two powerful statements, two powerful, phrases that I want you to put into your back pocket, and that I want you to use often. Ladies, is there, for the ladies, is there anything more romantic? Is there any more captivating, anything more amazing than a man, notice I didn't say a boy, a man who can look you in the eye and say, I won't use you. I don't want to use you. I can't use you. Right? Like, are you kidding me? Hi, here's my Pinterest ring. Anytime, any day, just go, right? Like, I won't use you. I don't want to use you. Fellas, like, can you imagine a woman coming up to you and saying, like, I don't want to use you. I can't use you. I'm okay with that, right? Like, okay, yes, sign here, right? What about this one? I can't let you use me. Can you imagine if a guy or a girl made a play on you and you knew they were trying to just, work you over, and you were able to stand in front of them and be like, I can't let you use me. Hi, I exude confidence and I can't let you use me. Like, can you imagine being able to say that? It's hard. I know it's hard, but those are two phrases that I pray you put in your back pocket and you pull them out and use them all the time, right? Because there's not a single soul in this room that hasn't felt, that you haven't been used or used someone else, either emotionally or physically. None of us get through junior high, high school, and college unscathed. There's no way, right? Like, it's life. But the problem is we don't always see it or call it out for what it is. Amen? Like, we just don't always go there. But it is what it is. It's masked in love a lot of times, the word love, but it's actually use. Men will use women to get sex. Women will use their bodies, what they know they can offer, their sex appeal, or sex to get what they want, which is love. Or to just not feel alone, or to just feel desired, or just to feel anything. And it just cycles, and vice versa. Men and women will use each other emotionally and physically, and it all is just this big tangled mess. But we don't call it out. So the World's Idea Perfect and the Emotive Coaster and the cycle of use all feed, right? All of this pressure, the pressure to date. Do you guys get tired of people asking you, like, who you're dating and how's it going? And most uni students, I know, in America, it's always like, people are always asking, like, are you seeing anyone? Especially when you're in college. Like, sweet little grandmas and, like, the lady that cuts your hair, whoever. It's just like, stop, right? It's a status thing. So it all feeds this, and there has to be a better way. Amen? So I call it the 80-20 problem in its big three. So when I was in high school, these three questions took up 80% of my emotional energy, my worry, my stress. And word on the street is that a lot of single people struggle with these three questions. I wasn't the only one. Who am I going to date and eventually marry? What is he going to do for me, or how is he going to make me feel? And how good can I look doing it? Those are my three questions. I don't know if you ever feel this way, but sometimes I used to feel like everything I thought, every decision I made fed one of these three. Does that make sense? Like, it was very easy. But you see that little 20% up there? It's like there's this little sliver of the pie up there. It's like, what do we do with that? And what I want you to entertain is to spend not 20%, but maybe flip it and spend 80% of your time answering these three questions. Who do I want to be? What am I living for? And who am I living for? Who do I want to be? What am I living for? And who am I living for? I don't ask these questions of myself enough. I definitely didn't ask these questions enough in college. Who do I want to be? I don't know. What am I living for? My boyfriend. Who am I living for? Probably my boyfriend also, right? Like, that was my answer for most of my high school and early college life. And so when I look at these questions, it's like, man, if we spent 80% of our time asking these questions, and if our mental energy and everything that we worry about, if we could feed these three questions, wouldn't it change? Even if we went 50-50, that'd be good, right? That'd probably be better than where we're at, right? So I ask these questions because for the women, I have a different motto for you, all right? Strive to become the woman of your dreams, and you'll attract the man of your dreams. Strive to become the woman of your dreams, and you'll attract the man of your dreams. This has been good because I think for us, a lot of women, especially in college, this is how I was. I would always like take a guy and be like, I can work with this. Okay. So you like try to mold him and shape him and change him and manipulate him, right? Like, okay, good. And you get him to where you think you want them, and then you drag them along for like 6 to 18 months. Most obsession relationships last about 6 to 18 months. And then they just like completely fall apart when you find out that it's not real. And then you kind of put the pieces back together and you hold your little, backpack of baggage and drama, and then you like start over with someone else. Strive to become the woman of your dreams and you'll attract the man of your dreams. Like, you can take this to the bank. Why? Because when if God calls you to marriage and you stumble upon the man that God's called you to be with and he falls in love with you, do you know who he's going to be falling in love with? Do you know who you are? Do you know what you are offering this man? I could not have answered that when I was where you are. There's no way. But when I say strive to become the woman of your dreams, what happens is the man that God may have, if you're called to marriage, has called you to be with, he's going to be so ridiculously attracted to you for who you are. Not for who you wish you were, not for who you used to be, not for who you are 10 pounds lighter, but you. But I want you to know who she is. And for the fellas, this is yours. What kind of man are you striving to be? I don't think the men get asked this enough, Like, do you know, like, what kind of a man you're striving to be? In America, we have this thing that I lovingly call good guy syndrome. So basically, guys will come up to me and be like, Sarah, like, I'm a good guy. Like, I have high school and college to, like, make #memories, and, like, I will be this, like, husband and father that you want me to be right now. I just need you to simmer. Like, I'm a good guy. I will get there, right? I'll do all that stuff. And I always laugh because, they tell me they're a good guy. Like, they get drunk, but they try not to drive, and they sleep around, but not every night, and they cheat, but only when necessary. Like, they are really good guys, right? Like, this happens all the time, and I always tell the men, I'm like, okay, you can't, like, look at, like, felons and be like, well, I'm doing better than him, so, like, I'm a good guy, right? Like, guys do this sometimes. They're like, I'm doing better than that, so I'm a good guy. And I stand before, like, the men in here, like, in heels, flying across the ocean to come to you and beg you to be more than a good guy. There are so many good guys out there, and, we're really happy we have them, but, like, I have lines and lines and lines of women all over the world that come to me and say, like, I can't find a good guy. Like, I am going to die with 100 cats. Like, I am convinced of it, right? Like, every youth group event I go to, anywhere I go, there's always, like, 9 women and to the one man. You know what I mean? It's always like, where are my fabulous men? Like, I need you. Does that make sense? So, what kind of man are you striving to be? Do you feel like you get asked that enough or ever? I know that for my husband, when he had his conversion, he's like, no one ever challenged me to be more, ever. Hey, he was like, I think they just thought I couldn't do it. And he was angry when he finally had his conversion. He's like, why didn't anyone ever challenge me to be more? And it took him 21 years to figure out that, like, there was more. And that emptiness inside could be filled. Does that make sense? So how are we going to play, like, what are we going to do, right? So let's talk, like I said, how to just not just survive, but to thrive. The first part was confidence in yourself. If I told you to go be confident in yourself, you'd be like, thanks, lady. That does nothing for me. I have no clue what you're talking about, right? How do you just be confident in yourself? That's like a 10-hour talk, right? But it's going to begin with trying to see what's attacking you, right? And then what are you actually looking for? But then confidence in your friends, like, man, this life is hard. Ladies, is it hard to be a woman? Am I alone? Is it hard to be a woman? You can nod your head up and down, like, right? Right? So we have the power to either help each other out or to hurt each other, right, ladies? Fellas, is it hard to be a man? Every time I ask high school guys this, they're always like, no. Right? Like, is it hard to be a man? No. We're doing just fine, right? It is. It's hard. It's really hard, and you need each other. So part of confidence in your friends is, I don't know if you guys have ever felt this way, but I know for myself, I used to always feel like I know what not to do, and I know what I don't want, but I don't know what to do right now. Like, what am I supposed to be doing right now? Not just waiting around for my vocation, but like, what am I supposed to be doing? And part of that is going to go with confidence in yourself, but also confidence in your friends. This is teamwork here, people. This part of the talk is like, we have to be there for one another. We can't hurt one another, but also we have to be there for one another and pull each other through this, because it can be really hard. When I was in college, it was kind of funny because we asked a bunch of our guy friends, we were like, okay, what's the most attractive thing about a woman? Like, we were starting to understand, like, okay, faith, virtue, confidence, like, this is all coming together, but like, what do you guys think is the most attractive thing about a woman? And we were like, be gentle, So they all got in their man huddle. Have you guys all seen a man huddle where, like, guys get together and they, like, put their heads in and their arms on each other's shoulder and they start swaying back and forth like this, Or We were actually at a bar. And they're in this man huddle having this like intense 10-minute conversation about what the most attractive thing about a woman is. And they come back and all those girls are like, woo, we really want to know, like this is so helpful. So they come back and they're like, okay, we got it. Most attractive thing about a woman. And we're like, yeah. And they said, holiness and confidence. And we were like, I'm sorry, come again? And they were like, holiness and confidence. We were like, what? And they're like, yeah, even guys that aren't into their faith would say they want a girl who knows who she is and does the right thing. Like holiness and confidence. And we were like, wow, that is deep. Thank you, We were like, thank you. And I remember one of my friends, walked back to our dorm room and she threw her coat down. She's like, why did we even ask? They told us. We don't even know what that means. Like, go be holy and confident. Okay, watch me frolic. I'm going. Look at me how holy and confident I am. Like, we had nothing. We had no clue what they meant. So we went back to the guys later and we were like, can you write down some tips and tricks, practical tools for what the heck you're talking about? Because we don't even know where to go with this. And they're like, yeah. So they bust out a napkin and start, taking notes. And, typical girl fashion. We were like, well, if you're going to do the simply irresistible virtuous woman, then I guess we'll just make up the simply irresistible virtuous man list for you. Like, no problem. We can do that. So we started listing all the things that are, simply irresistible, most attractive about the man, right? And so it was funny. I remember comparing notes, and throughout the last 10 years, I've been asking everybody, what do you think should be on the list? What do you think should be on the list? And so I've compiled the list of what people have said about the opposite sex, about what they're looking for, and so I brought them with me. So the simply irresistible virtuous man, I skipped it. Woman, she goes first. Ladies first. Feminine, confident, and committed. Feminine, she's gentle and kind, graceful and sincere, patient and flexible, doesn't gossip, isn't rude, tries to eliminate drama, not create it, poised and modest, open to the needs of others, nurturing and welcoming, joyful and fun. Confident, she stands up for what is right and seeks the truth. She has courage and is not afraid to confront and help someone. She's genuinely excited for another, not jealous or vain. She's genuinely excited for another, not jealous or vain. It's such a hard one. She speaks with conviction. She's responsible, prudent, humble and honest, secure, sensitive to the needs of others. She's committed. Her relationship with God comes first in her life. She puts others first before herself. She strives for excellence in all things, in chastity and sobriety, and tries her hardest in academics or her career. She's not led solely by her emotions and passions. She maintains balance and order in her life. She lives a life of charity and service. She's forgiving, trustworthy, loyal, and pure. Okay, all the ladies in the house, I need you to take a deep breath in and let it out, right? Take a deep breath and let it out. Okay, repeat after me, striving. Very good. Striving. They're still in shock from the poster. It's good, okay? Striving. Okay, repeat after me, not perfect. Not perfect. Because perfect. Doesn't exist. Now repeat after me, striving. Awesome. Okay. So the reason why we have to go through intense breathing treatments, right? Fellas, did you see that? We had to breathe after this list, right? We go through intense breathing treatments because when we read lists like this, women don't go, oh my gosh, I want to be her, right? We say, I'm not that, I'm not that, I'm not that. That will take a lifetime. I'm not that, I'm not that, I'm not that, right? Right? We don't look at these lists and are like, oh my gosh, I can't wait. We look at them and we tear ourselves down. But here's the deal. Ladies, this is very important. Fellas, this is important. There's not a woman walking the earth that is completely and all the time all of these things. A Mother Mary is in heaven. The rest of us are left here to fend for ourselves. Sorry, fellows, you missed your chance, okay? So we're all here trying to figure this out. There's not a woman walking the earth that is perfectly all these things. So the men need to probably stop looking for the perfect woman, a la this all the time. And ladies, we need to take this pressure of the world and this pressure of even to be perfect like this all the time. We need to just set that down, and we need to repeat the mantra in our head of striving. Striving. I want you to just put it somewhere deep in your heart. Because what's actually attractive about this woman is the act of striving for these things. What is actually attractive, and the men have backed me on this millions of times, is her striving for this. The action of it is what's attractive. Does that make sense? Okay, that is awesome, because now, do you ever, again, I always feel what am I supposed to be doing? I know what not to do, what am I supposed to be doing, right? Fellas, is this woman attractive? Would you like to marry a woman like this someday? A simple nod would be great. Okay, good, awesome, okay. So they do want to marry someone like this someday. Would your life be better if you married someone like this someday? Or a woman striving for this? I think that would be a good goal, right? That would be awesome, right? So this woman is attractive. Ladies, do you want to see the simply irresistible virtuous man? It's really funny. All the girls are always like, put up the slide. And all the guys are like, or not, right? Like, I feel like this is going to be painful. So not painful. The simply irresistible virtuous man, he's masculine, confident, and committed. He's masculine. He's a leader, provider, protector, initiator, chivalrous, brave and courageous, gentle and respectful, intuitive and patient, joyful and fun. And if you notice, confident and committed are the exact same list as the woman's because we share humanity, right? Are we different? Yes. But do we complement one another? Yes. Do we struggle with a lot of the same things? Yeah. Do you know that you hold the power in your hand to either build up the opposite sex or to completely crush them? You can destroy the opposite sex. You have it in the power in your hand. Or you can build them up. What are you supposed to be building them up with? What would be something that would be so great to compliment the men in, right? Like, this list is great. For the men, I know you don't need like breathing treatments, but striving, right, men? Like striving. This is the act of the men, like men, the act of you striving for these things is what is ridiculously attractive. Is that right, women? Simple head nod would be fine. Yes, yes, yes. Do you hope to marry a man like this someday that's striving for this if you're called to marriage? Is this man attractive? You're sure, right? Okay, good. So the simply irresistible woman, the simply irresistible man. Okay, what's funny is after these talks, I always get a group of guys that'll come out to me, and they're always like, can we talk to you, Sarah? I'm like, yeah. Over there? I'm like, over here? Okay, good, yeah. In the dark corner? Okay, good, yeah, here we are. So it's like all the guys and I in the corner, and they're like, yeah, Sarah, Are you sure that's what the women want? And I'm like, yeah, like, woo-hoo, they're excited, like, yeah. Sarah, are you sure that's what the women want? I'm like, yeah, that's what they want. Like, oh my gosh, can you imagine? Like, simply irresistible virtuous man, simply irresistible women coming together, getting married, whoa, and they're like, okay. Are you sure this is what they want? I'm like, yes. And they don't always believe me, and what they usually say with a look of kind of pain in their eyes is, then why do women throw themselves half naked at men that are the complete opposite? They say it all the time. Guys come to me all the time. Especially the guys that are fighting the good fight. They're like, why don't they give us attention? They give it to all the wrong guys. I don't understand. And I always tell them, I'm like, guys, that is like a 4-hour answer, and I don't even know if I have a great answer, but I could probably boil it down to one word, and that one word is woundedness. Like women and men, both of us, we are wounded. We've been used emotionally and physically. We've hurt others. Like, it can be things that our dad said or didn't say. It can be things that ex-boyfriends said or girlfriends said or friends said or mean girls said. Like, how long does the compliment, or how long does something that tear you down, how long does that stay with you? Years. I mean, we're wounded. It's life. It is what we are. And woundedness can make you do crazy things. It can lead you down dark paths that you never intended to go down. And when I was in college, this all started coming together. It all started making sense. And one of the things that I was very lost, and everyone always says, like, I struggled with everything in this talk. The insecurities, the perfectionism, the competition, the struggling to have confidence in myself and in my worth, my mistakes, my past, like all of it. And I remember I found myself on a retreat. A friend invited me on a retreat in college. And I remember it had adoration and confession. And I remember standing in the confession line. I remember the door out was that way, and the door to the confession line, like the sweet priest in the confessional was there. And I remember like taking steps. Like I couldn't decide, one to the door, one to the confessional. And I found myself continuing to inch down the line. And I remember I went into the confessional, and there was a sweet baby priest in there. He'd only been a priest for like a year. And I bet this baby priest is like, what am I going to do with this woman? Because I just like laid out this entire talk. I mean, I talked about everything that I was struggling with. And that priest gave me the best dating advice that I've ever received. Oh my, hi. The Holy Spirit sent off fireworks. So like I'm in this confessional, and I'm sure he's thinking, what the heck? And I laid it out, and he goes, Sarah, he's like, this is what I want you to do. And like I said, it was the best life advice I'd ever received. And he said to me, he goes, this is what I want you to do. I want you to build a box. And I want you to build this box and put everything that you're struggling with in it. He goes, and I want you to run to our Lord, and I want you to drop it off at the feet of someone who can actually do something about it. He goes, and I want you to fall into his arms, and I want you to let the Lord love you like no human man can. And then when you're strong and you're whole and you've been growing, I want you to stand up, and I want you to run with our Lord. And when the time's right, I want you to glance to the side and see who's running with you, and that's who you're supposed to be with. And I felt like a million weights like just fell off my shoulders that night. Because for the first time in my life, it wasn't about what I was going to do. Like, I would always do this to God. I would sideline God, and I would just say, like, okay, God, I'm going to change this. I'm going to fix that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to lose 10 pounds, and I'm going to present myself to you, the perfect Sarah, and then you will love me. I would do this with boyfriends. I would do this with friends. I do it with my family. I did it all the time. I would just work so hard and I put so much pressure on myself to be perfect. And then my whole life would be hollow and I would be so confused. I'd be so empty and so frustrated. I didn't know why. And for the first time in my life, the Lord, this priest just laid it out for me. And what it was is, Sarah, you don't have to do this alone. I wanted to hide all of my imperfections from everyone and even from God. But that priest told me, he's like, no, you take that to him. You give it to him. And here's the deal, you guys, I still struggle with anxiety. I still struggle as a 32-year-old mom with knowing my worth, with living out my life with confidence, with, sacrifice and all these things that life throws at you, the hard times, the good times. I still struggle too. But the difference in my life between then and now is that I don't struggle alone. The Lord came into my life that night and he is the rock and the center of my life. And that's what I want for you to know, is that it's not about perfecting yourself and then taking yourself to God. It's taking your hot mess of a self and presenting yourself to God and saying, I surrender. Not in defeat, but in victory. I can't do this anymore, Lord. I give you control of my life. I don't want control of it anymore. My relationships, my vocation, my friendships, my family, my future, my career, I just can't do it anymore. I give it to you. Run with me. Support me. I trust you. I want you in my life. And that's the difference between now and then. And if you don't remember anything from my talk this whole day, I just pray that you remember that you're not in this alone. Don't do it alone. You can surrender, and again, not in defeat, but in victory. And you can trust him. My two favorite hashtags are surrender and strive, because they go together. And when you're trying to not just survive, but to actually thrive, confidence in yourself, confidence in your friends, and confidence in God, those are the only three ways you're going to make it through. Amen? And so I come before you today. I want you to find your posse, your women, the posse of women that are going to help you grow stronger. Find them, right? Same path, same page, same place. Men, I need you to find that strong posse of men that can run with you. And then my favorite is when the men posse, the male posse and the female posse, run together. Amazing relationships come from that, right? Because your eyes are fixed on Christ. And you love people as brothers and sisters in Christ. And then God just works amazing things. 3 formula for a great relationship: God, chemistry, and timing. All 3 have to be right on, right? But when you're running in posses and running together, you'll be able to see God, chemistry, and timing working and maybe not working, and being able to see the opposite sex in the light of friendship first. It changes the way we date. And changing the way we date is going to change the way we break up, if that comes along. So I wrote a book. The last 2 years I've been writing a book, because if I could go to coffee with you, if I could grab dinner with you tonight, if I could hang out with you for a couple hours, I would. And what I would say to you is what I wrote in this book, because being a stay-at-home mom and not getting to be out as much as I would love to, I don't know if I'll get that opportunity. So I wrote you a letter in that book. And if I could, it's what I would say. As someone who didn't have an older sister to shoot straight with them, that's what I want. That's what I want that book to be. And that posse, there's discussion questions in the back, so that there's all over the world, there's women reading it with women, there's men reading it with men, there's men and women reading it together, which is fabulous, especially at a uni environment, because a lot of times we miss each other. Men don't know what the women are struggling with. Women don't know what the men are struggling with, right? We make a lot of assumptions, and we stereotype each other all the time. Men come to me all the time and say, I am not a sexual robot without feelings. Could you tell the women that for me? Do you know what I mean? Women come to me all the time and say, I need you to tell the men this. And that's what's in the book, right? I hold the hand of the men and women, and I have this conversation that is hard, because life is hard and messy. But I just want you to know, when things get hard and things get tough, I want you to pull out those 2 sentences, right? I will not use you, and I will not let you use me. I will not use you, and I won't let you use me. Well, there was this guy after one of my talks. He came up to me, and he came up to me later, and he comes up, and he's like, I heard your talk a couple months ago, and I just want to let you know that I found myself in a really tough situation. I was with a girl, and I just looked at her and I said, I can't use you, and I can't let you use me. And I walked. And he was like, I think I know for the first time what you were talking about being a man and what being a man looks like. And I was like, yes. I was so pumped, because he got it. He gets it, right? And that's what I want for you, is to just see the opposite sex in a different light. As a brother in Christ, as a sister in Christ, it's going to change the way you date.